going to be pretty interesting and it's going to be somewhat fun. So I want to start with this Rich Paul thing. And as we all know the story, and I brought it to your attention maybe 2 weeks ago, where I told you how most recently, with the most recent fine of Ben Simmons and the other issues, that apparently Rich Paul has, in his words and in an interview, somewhat changed his stance from the very beginning. Just to give you a little history, in the very beginning of this whole situation, he came off, excuse me, came off as adamant about wanting Ben Simmons out of Philadelphia. Went as far as trying to incorporate Tyrese Maxey, who he also represents, pulling him into the situation and saying that he wanted him out of town too. We went through the stages. We got to the mental health issue. The fine stopped, but then some things were not being followed as far as the biting contract. So the young man was fined again. Then the story comes out that he feels like the fines are not helping or are adding to or worsening his mental health issues or his mental health situation. In that particular moment, he also came back and somewhat retracted and said that he wants to see Ben back in a uniform, even if it is the Sixers or not. Yada, yada, yada. He wants to see him back doing what he loves. I had to.
Oh man,
because this saga is getting out of hand, and in my opinion, it is beginning to appear like the Ben Simmons side is starting to feel some pressure. You know, they say pressure busts pipes. But it feels like they are beginning to feel some pressure in this entire situation, where they're now claiming that the Sixers' tactics with the fines and everything else are beginning to worsen his mental health capacity. Well, you also have to take into consideration that he is currently still a member of the Philadelphia 76ers under a legal binding contract, where somewhere in that contract and part of his job description is, although he's not playing, he's still required to come to team meetings, film sessions and things of that nature, which he has not been doing. There was also a small issue of the team, Philadelphia 76ers, basically just wanting proof that you are truly seeing someone, since you claim you don't trust the Sixers doctors. You want to get your own through the NBA Players Association. All fine and well, but all they're asking is that you just provide us proof. Just say, hey, let us know that you actually are seeing someone. We don't need to know any details or anything like that. Ben Simmons has not done that. Apparently, someone in the organization has found out who the doctor was, or someone got wind of who the doctor was, and they went into the HIPAA thing, which I totally get. But there was no information being asked. It's just let us know, yo, send us an email that, yo, I'm seeing them, whatever.
Right.
Hasn't been done. But again, he was fined for not making a road trip, which is a breach of contract. So Daryl Morey has already stated that he is willing to let this thing go play out as long as it does. Again, we all know, or myself and Baldy know, that you can't. Robert Reeves, thanks for tuning in. You can't.
Happy birthday, big fella.
Yes, happy birthday to you. You can't give him away for cents on the dollar. And some people are probably saying, well, you know, it's better now to just get rid of him, to get rid of the headache. I see that point. But on the business side, like we always try to give y'all a little bit of the other side. On the business side, they would be fools to give him away for cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
The most recent rumors that I've heard are speculation that they have some people that they have interest in. Like I mentioned, it had the list of 30 players.
Mm-hmm.
There is chatter about there still being strong interest in James Harden, which they could facilitate if somehow possible, and depending on how things go in Brooklyn, a sign and trade in the offseason for James Harden. So we'll see what happens in that situation. And again, like I said, the Sixers are not going to just give him away for pennies on the dollar.
Absolutely not.
And a lot of people are saying, well, their price tag was too high. Why shouldn't it be?
Listen, let's simplify it. We all played the game of Monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
We all know how the game of Monopoly works. If we look at the game of Monopoly and we look at Ben Simmons, I can't say Ben Simmons is Bullwalker Park Place. He's not, because the Bullwalker Park Place are your blue chip players in the league, your top tier, your LeBrons, your Steph Currys.
Mm-hmm.
But what he is he's that Pennsylvania Avenue / Ventnor Marvin's Garden, where he has a price tag that's going up.
Right.
He has an elevator that the barometers can move up a little bit. And what people are trying to offer us are Oriental Avenue and St. Charles Place.
Yeah. The stuff you buy on the first trip around.
In cash consideration.
Yeah. The stuff you can buy on the first,
and it's like,
first trip around.
You understand this piece
Mm-hmm.
that we're thinking about letting go has the potential to go from one side of the board to the other and give another person hotels when there's no other hotels on the board at the time.
Right.
So when you look at like a game of Monopoly and you look at Ben Simmons, he can be a heavy piece to a puzzle to somebody else that can create a crazy effect somewhere else. So because we know that, we just can't give him up.
You just can't give him
You
up.
can't offer us, you can't give us the two dirty brown properties, Mediterranean, Baltic.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, it got to be something close to that corner that he's on. Or something better with some consideration of other properties that we have that we can throw in for something better.
Yeah.
But you can't, that's the game of negotiation.
Right.
You cannot. I don't care what you thinking as a fan.
Yeah,
this is business first. And the longer he stays out, it doesn't get worse for the Sixers. It get worse for him.
Right. You know, if you want to look at it, maybe one step even further as far as the business wise. If you got a business, and let's say you got an ice cream shop, okay, you cold good ice cream, smoothies, frozen yogurts, whatever. You got a sub-zero freezer that keeps you tight.
Right.
Right. You want to move, maybe another guy comes in or another person comes in down the block, around the corner or so. They want to start up too. But they come to you and they say, well, look, maybe we can try and work together. I know you on the verge of moving, and I just heard that you can't take that sub-zero freezer with you. Okay. All right, I get that. So what you talking? I give you this much for it. As a business owner, you're not giving it away for dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, for one, you can't take it with you. So you already know when you get to your new spot, you're going to need another one to keep your standards to where they were.
Exactly.
So why would you move to a new location, starting over in essence, drop what you did to get you to where you were and give it to somebody else? Where even if you do move across town, now people are going to go there because they're not sure if you're going to get that. If you sell it for pennies on the dollar, you're not going to get another sub-zero freezer.
Exactly.
So now he's got the sub-zero, and people are going to be like, "Man, we love your stuff, but it just ain't the same as when you were." Exactly. So you're going to lose out, and like what I said, you're going to lose out, and they're going to reap the benefits of it. So you can't do that business-wise.
Listen, this is what we need for everybody that's listening. Here's what we need. we need your two best possible trades, and we're talking realistic.
Yeah,
We're talking realistic.
Don't copy and paste none of the BS ones that's been floating around.
Exactly. So the realistic trades, you have to involve contracts. You have to, because the numbers mean everything.
Numbers have to match.
So you just can't say, "Yo, give us that, give us that." No, you have to think like a general manager and create contracts and possible trades of players within the league, and then send it to us.
That's right.
And we can all have a dialogue on it, because
message them to us.
Yeah, because as a fan,
in the group page, SportsRap Podcast.
I heard some of the craziest stuff. Joe
at SportsRap_D on Instagram, or at Ball75 on Instagram. Message us, DM us, and give us that. We'll definitely bring those back and discuss those.
Yes, we saying all types of stuff,
air.
man.
So, a little bit into this Rich Paul thing. I'm trying to get through this kind of quick because I got a couple other things and I definitely want to discuss while my partner is here. Because I know I'll get some good insight from my partner on those other two somewhat topics. So, the story begins and it goes through his early life, and where it starts by saying that he grew up out of humble beginnings. Which is not surprising, from the Akron, Ohio area, Cleveland area. Not really a surprise. I totally get that. So that's not really an issue there. Also, you know, he was sent to Benedictine High School, a private Catholic prep school in the center of Cleveland, which reminds me of 8 Mile.
True.
And Papa Doc.
True.
I had to throw that in there for us. I'm sorry, but that's just where it took me when I read it. You know, and it also goes into the typical, or the somewhat typical hood stuff. Many kids would have spiraled out of control after the loss of a parent, which he lost his father in '99. But he managed to get through high school and control and graduated. After that, he realized that, which a lot of our kids do as well, realized that the traditional just going to college path was not truly for him. So what he did was he began to spawn his entrepreneurial genes, and he broke into the world of selling and buying throwback jerseys, which around this time, 99, 2000, was the thing.
Right.
Back then. Okay. He apparently met LeBron in an airport, and thanks in part to a jersey that he was wearing at the time, which was a pristine Warren Moon jersey. At that same time, in that airport, LeBron was allegedly going to Atlanta and to see a Final Four, and he was wearing a Michael Vick jersey, which was handpicked, they say, for that particular event. Yes, he said he was wearing the powder blue, pristine, authentic Warren Moon jersey. The two had a connection. They made a connection. They formed a connection. Their relationship started with the Magic Johnson Lakers jersey. So that apparently was the first jersey that LeBron purchased. And then there was also a Joe Namath Rams jersey. Okay. After that, they say that Rich Paul was then joined or entered into LeBron's inner circle. So they say that for the most part at that time, LeBron had relied on his childhood friends, Maverick Carter and Randy Mims. Okay, but soon his reliance was extended to Rich Paul as well. The trio became his main support system. Carter served as his business agent, shaping and cultivating his personal brand. Mims was the liaison between LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, he was communicating for important information between the parties. Okay, so basically he was the assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Paul was tasked with working under agent Leon Rose at Creative Arts Agency to better understand how sports agencies work. So apparently, in their meeting, in their building of a relationship and of a bond, LeBron saw the entrepreneurial spirit, the go getter spirit, if you will, and felt like maybe he could learn some things from there. So this goes into even further breaking out, learning from the ropes. Uh, his extension with the Cavaliers, which is LeBron, his inner circle believed they were ready to start their own agency. In 2012, Rich Paul and LeBron James founded Clutch Sports, leaving CAA and making preparations for James's contract with the Miami Heat to expire in the summer of 2014. The combination of LeBron's star power and Paul's natural gift of salesmanship, the agency was a force in basketball. So it goes on to say from 2014 to 19, Clutch negotiated $1.4 billion in NBA contracts, expanded its roster to 25 players, including, excuse me, Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, and Trae Young, just to name a few. Then there was 2019. The NCAA was sniffing around,
Mm-hmm.
and they came up with what they call the Rich Paul rule. We all know that story. Okay? So then it goes into the small thing about him now dating Adele. If you haven't already known that, he just had a special with Oprah and Adele last week. So now he's dating that. What's next for Rich Paul is Clutch Sports continues to grow and become a force in the world of sports representation. Rich Paul has recently accepted a position with United Talent Agency to have Clutch manage its sports division. The UTA was primarily focused on film and television, but represents a venture for Paul to solidify himself as a premier agent. And with LeBron already taking a foray into film with Space Jam, the future is bright for Clutch Sports.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have this young man who, like I said, you saw it, you heard it, coming from humble beginnings, and like I said, the typical background story of an inner city youth trying to make a name for himself, which he has definitely done. No questions, no issues, no bones about that. He has done that. But like we mentioned when this thing first started, I think a little bit of the success has gotten to his head, where he feels like, and it's also with the success of what he's done in the NBA, where he felt like this particular situation with the Ben Simmons issues, he would be able to forge his way on the NBA and some of the GMs and other people, executives in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna happen. Because if we just got his story and just explained it to you very briefly, imagine what NBA attorneys and investigators have done.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, we saw it with the NCAA stepping in 2019, and they called it the Rich Paul rule. So we saw some of it there. So that was a start. So we know that they can find out what they want and will be able to use what they find in the way that they want. So, again, I say the situation now with Ben Simmons is not going on with any other of his clients.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives me or brings me to question my thought process, and I say, who's doing the advising here?
Yeah. It definitely will make you think that.
Also, what did they think was going to happen when you're not fulfilling a legal binding contract?
I think they honestly are rolling the dice, man. I think they rolling the dice. I mean, the one thing about Rich Paul that I can respect is his grind. You know, his hustle.
Oh yeah, you definitely gotta respect his hustle.
And you know, when the
Absolutely.
NCAA tried to, put out that rule, the Rich Paul rule, he then wrote an opt-in letter letting them know that, I understand why y'all doing this. You want to block minorities out from being able to be in this field. You tell me I need to have this now, where it wasn't there before.
Yeah, you know, real quick before you finish, just what you just said kind of makes you think a little bit about the old jokes about Thanksgiving dinner, since we almost at Thanksgiving. You're a little older, but you still gotta sit at the kids' table.
Still got to sit at the kids' table.
You're not completely you at the line
Yeah,
to sit
you're
at the
almost there.
adult table, but you just ain't crossed the line yet. I think that's kind of where like the NBA executives looked at it, was like we gonna let you in where we want to let you in.
Yeah.
But that's where it stops, and then you're not gonna force your way in.
Right.
We ain't gonna let you force your way to the big table.
You're not gonna be able. First of all, you just can't bring your own chair to the table.
Absolutely.
No, we can say, hey, you can sit there, but you just can't bring your own chair to the table, and that's what happened. You know what I mean? But they also, made it clear that, okay, you on our clock. You pretty much you got to get in line, dude. And a lot of listen, man. There have been agents, and it makes me think of Jerry Maguire and all that, but it's similar in the sense that here you have a guy who did not go to college, but his capabilities and his knowledge on what it takes to run an agency, because he was an apprentice to one of the baddest agents.
Absolutely.
If not the best NBA agent in the game.
Yeah.
Then what other background
Does he
do
truly
you
have?
need?
Right.
He sat across tables at blockbuster trades and saw how the negotiation process works. So this is his apprenticeship right there.
Yep.
He 6-7 years. He sat underneath him. I mean, well, he was there for about 3-4 years, but when they opened theirs, 7 years later, they done negotiated over $1.4 billion worth of contracts.
Absolutely.
So I don't negate that he doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
I think that what he is he's a guy that understands these old formats, and I ain't going that route. I'm not going that route. He what Puff was when he got over there before he got the Uptown, when he was at Uptown Records and all that, and he was over there with Andre Harrell, and Andre Harrell had him washing the car and all this stuff, and then one day he showed up with flip flops on it. Andre Harrell said, "Listen, hey, that ain't how I do business." He's like, "Well, I guess it's time for me to do my own thing." Right. So he's trying to trailblaze his own way. And all the other people at the table is like, yo, you can't drink your juice before you eat the food.
That's right.
It's not the rules here at this table.
Right.
And he like, no, I'm thirsty now. You know what I mean? And this is all it is a formality of what people are used to. And someone's coming in with a different format, and it's being challenged. And they don't like that. And they don't like it because of who it is. Not because of what they know.
Well,
because of who it is. And he got the #1 dude on his hip, which each and every last one of them wish they had.
Yeah.
They don't have a chance to get at
him in.
Exactly.
So the slight fear there is where the loyalty is with LeBron. We basically can't even reach out to LeBron to say, yo, tone your homie down or something. LeBron is
he can't do it.
He made me very wealthy.
Can't do it.
So it's working for me. I don't know what y'all gonna figure out or what y'all gonna do, but it's working for me.
He's got 25 guys on that team, Clutch Sports. 25 of them. Out of the 25 of them,
about 5 of them on the Lakers.
Yeah, about 5 of them on the Lakers. But out of the 25, I would say almost 80% of them, 85% of them, they're under 30.
And top tier.
And they're top tier guys. It's a few mid range guys, but he got top tier guys. Absolutely. So that means he has a lengthy route of contracts. Most of them are going to get extensions, and it's going to double that. He's going to be able to get at least a couple contracts out of let's just say 20 of them.
Yep.
Well, all right, multiply that times 2 more contracts per person. You have 40 more contracts. You know what I mean? So it's the numbers and how in which he's going to make his money.
Right.
It's on the up. It's on the upscale, and that's not including the classes that's coming in.
Right. And you know, it's going to get more difficult because they now have the NIL bill. Carla Morales, thanks for tuning in. It's going to get worse. It's going to get tougher because of that. And then also with this situation that you're dealing with here in Philly,
with Ben Simmons
and Daryl Morey, where you're dealing with one of the respected GMs in the league. So in this situation, this particular situation, you could very well argue that Daryl Morey's support system outside of just the Sixers organization is a little bit stronger than Rich Paul's, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
And that's not saying that Rich Paul doesn't have anything, but from everything that we both just said, Daryl Morey has a lot more weight behind him right now in this situation then. And the way it's being played out is not a good look for you and your client. Because you can very easily say, oh, well, they want this, they want that, they want to be traded. Now they say they want to have him back in a uniform, whether it's the Sixers or not. And those big wigs are looking up, but like, we done put a chip in that armor. So let's just keep chipping away. Let's keep working out. We gonna hold ground. Yeah. Because we know
something gotta give.
That something gotta give.
On their end.
And basically they gave first. Because you somewhat retracted your initial words.
Right.
So you gave first. So that's basically that story there. And you know, like I said, we'll definitely continue to bring
some trades that came up.
We'll definitely continue to bring you some stuff and follow up with all of that as you know everything proceeds. Quick announcement: we are now 1 week away from Busta Rhymes, Jada, Chic Luch, music by Doc B, DJ Mackie 215, DJ Active with host 2Ray at the Met. Sunday, November 28th. Doors open at 7 p.m. And make sure you are tuned in to Heat 100 Radio live on air and tune into us on social media where you could win some tickets or possibly get more information on how you can get tickets. Definitely tune in to the Morning Rush tomorrow morning with Simply Monica, and I'm sure she will talk more about that. Also, real quick, folks, I mentioned it over the weekend on social media, and now that I'm back here on air, I will say it again. I now only have 1 turkey left. So if there's anyone tuned in, anyone listening that knows somebody or knows somebody that knows somebody, I have 1 family-sized turkey left that I am giving away. DM me at SportsRap_D on Instagram. That's at SportsRap_D on Instagram. Or you can send me a message in the Facebook group, Sports Rap Podcast. Let me know if I don't give it away for Thanksgiving, I'll try to hold it and possibly get it to you for your Christmas dinner, which is right around the corner. But again, right now, I initially said that I have 2. I now have 1 turkey left for donation for the holiday season. Family-sized turkey. 2. So it's a pretty decent size turkey. Y'all will be eating off that for about a week and a half. Not just a normal week. It might be a week and a half unless you got some greedy folk coming to eat it with you. So, a couple of things I want to get to before we close out.
Oh, hey, Frank. Hey, Frankie.
Yeah, we got some time. Omar Phillips, thanks for tuning in.
Oh, what's up, Bo?
We got some things. Something that I saw and I posted it. And I got a little bit of response when I posted it. Well, I don't know if you saw it or not, but when I posted it, a lot of the response I got was a particular team that was left off the list. So what I'm referring to right now is the top 10 NBA teams of all time. And you know, I like to bring stuff like this because I know my followers, I know my listeners. Just like I said, as soon as I posted it, I got a lot of response, and it was very in tune, in line with the same thing from quite a few people. So I'm going to run through the list. Okay, I'm gonna go backwards. You know, I posted it was 1 through 10, but I'm gonna go backwards. Starting with number 10, 88-89 Pistons. Number 9, the 2012-2013 Heat. Number 8, 13-14 Spurs. Number 7, 71-72 Lakers. Number 6, 70-71 Bucks. Number 5, the 86-87 Lakers. Number 4, the 2000-2001 Lakers. Number 3, 85-86 Celtics. Number 2, 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors. And number 1, the 95-96 Bulls. Before we get into it, Damani and Frank, yeah, I got it. The Lakers got 3 different teams on there, whatever. Just had to clear that out.
Yeah, you know.
Because I know they were going to chime in somewhere if they got it or whatever. But the majority response that I got was that a particular team was left off the list. And I purposely, when I do stuff like this, I purposely, in the mind, see, right on cue, I purposely, when I post these types of lists and questions or whatever, I purposely try to stay away from it so I can bring it here to this format. And what that response was, that the 82-83 championship Sixers should have been somewhere on this list.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, now that we're live, I agree with all the people that mentioned that. I can't remember everybody that mentioned then, but I know Richard was one, David Lyons was one, there's a couple other people. But I am in agreement with that. In my opinion, I think, and I'm not saying that they go in this exact spot, but I'm just saying this is what I think I could replace them for. And for me, I think that 82-83 team overall could replace the 2013-2014 Spurs team.
I can take that.
You could possibly also argue that they could replace the 2012-2013 Heat team.
I was going to say that.
So those are the two that I think that 82-83 Sixers team could replace. And Baldy just said he felt.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that they could. I would take them. I would replace them over that Heat team.
Okay.
I would definitely take that. I would leave that Spurs team, but I would definitely take that Heat. Take them over that Heat team.
Off, put them in there.
Yeah, because I mean, you got to remember the Sixers beat the Lakers. Lakers had the best. Did they have the best record in that league that year?
I think they did.
I think they might have had
William
the best
Charles, thanks
record.
for tuning in. Oh, you say me, you say you too. Omar, which team are you talking? The Heat or the Spurs? Let us know real quick if you can.
But I mean, they had the best record in their division, but we swept them, and they was fresh off of the year before, I think they lost in the conference finals.
Thanks, Omar agrees with you, and he says that that 12-13 Heat team.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, you got to look at the team. You got to look at who was on there. And the notables. I mean, the year before we lost.
Yep. Nate also says that Heat team.
Yeah.
Take that Heat.
The
team
Sixers
as well.
The Sixers lost and then went back.
Mm-hmm.
And when they went back, they swept them.
Yep.
They ain't just beat them; they swept them.
Swept them.
So, how do you not have that team?
Right. And
Now,
in that series, it was the famed Moses 4-5-4. You swept when it counted the most. You swept in the first series. You somewhat gave away one in the second round.
mm-hmm.
But when it got to the money,
you got them out of there.
against the baddest,
You got 'em out of
allegedly,
You got 'em out of there. And I mean, there's no way you cannot have that team on there.
Yeah, that team has to be on that list somewhere. And like I also always say, when I do comment on some of the stuff that people say, I do put it out there that a lot of these lists are skewed.
Mm-hmm.
Because the majority of the time, you have more people who had missed those particular teams in that era over what's going on. Because if you look at it, the list is pretty scattered, if you will. You got one team from the 70s, and it's only the one team, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the 80s, you got three teams, but you got the 85-86 Celtics, the 86-87 Lakers, 89-88, and the 88-89 Pistons I have no issues with.
Right.
That 86-87 Lakers, maybe. 85-86 Celtics, they were pretty good. But if you look at the makeup of that 82-83 Sixers team, for all intent purposes, they had everything that you needed to win a championship.
Yeah, they did.
And when you look at it, you know basketball, you look at the roster and you look at what I might need for this particular team or for this particular team. Yeah, Richard Drummond says the 67 Sixers or the 83 Sixers. Absolutely. And that's what we're saying, Rich. Like, that particular team, the 82-83 team, had everything you needed to win a championship.
Yeah, you got
and that was before this major free agency where teams get to the trade deadline and then they realize, oh, we need this. So let's make a move and get what we need. And then sometimes it still doesn't work out the way they expect it to.
Listen, I know that up until this point, because Rich just brought up the 67 Sixers. Up until this point, there's no other team that had not a better start than that team.
Right.
In history.
Right.
You know,
So
until
alone,
today,
that
there's
alone,
still no other team that
So
had a
that
better
alone,
start to a season.
Right, Rich, they don't. And I wish they would do a little bit bigger, little bit deeper research into doing this. And that's what I said. This is why I recently have stopped commenting on stuff that I see with a lot of these different lists and things of that nature, because I think they're so skewed. What you say there, Nate? Nate said, what's your opinion on the 2001 76ers, even though they didn't win the chip? They stopped the Lakers from sweeping them. Yeah, from sweeping
That's
them.
That's a cancellation prize.
What that was an unfortunate situation, in my opinion, Nate, where injuries. I think that first game, the Lakers looked at who they were at the time, and they figured, yo, this team worked hard and got here, but we still got them, and they kind of stunned them in game one.
Listen,
I also, just real quick, say that was an injury-riddled team where a lot of key components on that team were not able to play in that final series.
I can't really mention though that 2001 team. They just happened to be an all right team. They were a very good defensive team, not good offensively. And that year for the Sixers, the chips fell where they fell, and we was lucky.
Omar said if they'd have played any other team, they would have won.
We was lucky Vince Carter missed that jump shot or we not even in there. So let's not act like we was sweeping. We was going to almost the last games to beat teams. We wasn't just walking through cats.
Right.
But that 82-83 team, the special thing about that team, which a lot of teams didn't, first of all, you got Dr. J. Dr. J is about 30, 32, somewhere around there. We end up getting Moses Malone. Moses was like 27, a young Moses.
Yep.
Then you got Bobby Jones, who creates the six-man award. Then you got Andrew Toney, a PT player, game time player. When that game is on the line, the stop and pop killing you nobody else, no other guard was as dynamic as him at that time at that stop and pop.
Right.
Then you got the general. You got Maurice Cheeks. But then when you look at the concept of that team, it was really based around team. But you had a superstar.
Yes, sir. The Boston Strangler.
You had a superstar, and Doc. Even though Doc was getting older, because Doc only averaged about 21 that year.
Definitely a superstar there.
Moses was our ticket. Moses averaged a quarter.
Yep.
So when you look at how we was scripted, and to lose the way we lost to them before, and then to come back and sweep them, LA was still the team to beat.
Omar said he should have had 2 to 3 chips.
Should have had at least 2 to 3. Losing to Portland the way they did in that finals, that hurt. But you got to remember, for the Sixers to still mess around and still be relevant by 83, and losing in 79, and then losing again, like, come on, like,
right.
they was in the fold.
Yo, listen, not to cut you off real quick.
Yo, hey, don't come on here with that nonsense, Harper.
This is not the room for you. Wait, I missed my sign. Where's my sign? The sign. What was the sign we had, Bob? Your opinion is not warranted here. It doesn't matter.
We ain't listening to Monty. This is what he does.
What's up, Monty?
This is what he does,
and you know very well what you just said is making you laugh as well right now.
Don't worry about it, because I'm going to find that picture with you with the Dr. J jersey.
Because although you are a Lakers fan, you know Doc was that business.
Hey, listen. Hey.
Oh, that's what Tone said, huh? Now you snitching.
Well, listen. Listen. I always say this. You can't have 30,000 points, over 10,000 rebounds, over 5,000 assists, and be a bum.
Don't happen.
30, 10, and 5.
Don't happen. You
30,
know that.
10, and 5.
You know better.
And again,
thanks for tuning in.
We know Doc couldn't really go left that much. We know Doc was not a jump shot shooter. Had to be as he got older. We know that.
Around the rim.
But what we do know is he ain't got 30,000 dunks. That's what we do know. He ain't dunked 30,000 times.
Hey, now you say he one of the ghosts. We knew you was just kidding, man. It's all love, bro.
My man told you, he's like, man, Doc's a bum. He used to say that all the time.
It's all love, man. You know that, Monty.
But definitely, we know Doc is great. And having him, like, how can you not have a fish that saved Pittsburgh in the top 10 of the championship team? He saved the league.
It's the fish that saved Pittsburgh.
You know what I mean? He helped save the NBA. And how you don't have him on there? Come on, man. The man did a rock the cradle dunk with wingtip shoes.
Wingtips. Getting out the Rolls Royce. Stepping right out the rolls onto the playground.
Tell me who want to play like that.
Thanks for tuning in. Yes, indeed. So that's that one. Now the second one, and I'm going to tell you where I got this from. I got this from SixersWire.com.usatoday.com. And it is another list. Sixers all-time roster. Now the funny thing, I wanted to bring this one because as I just mentioned to you, I always, or more times than not, I feel like these lists are skewed. But looking at this list, I think this list is very close to one of what I would call a better one. So, and this is how it was put out. Starting five, your point guard, your general, Mo Cheeks. Shooting guard, AI. Small forward, Julius Erving. Power forward, round mound of rebounds, Charles Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
And center, Wilt Still.
I ain't gonna argue.
All right. Remaining members of this all-time team, this particular all-time team. Hal Greer.
I'll take that.
Promised Land, Moses Malone.
I'll take that.
The Boston Strangler, Andrew Toney.
I'll take that.
Dolph Shades.
Gotta take him from the 40s.
The Kangaroo Kid, who played for us and then ultimately got us that championship as a coach. Billy Cunningham. The proverbial inventor of Six-Man Award.
Bobby J.
Bobby Jones. The current center of the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid. Red Kerr.
Red Kerr, is he from what? Gotta be from the 50s.
He's from the 50s.
From the 50s?
Yep. Andre Iguodala.
Okay.
I can somewhat give you that. And last but not least, and I'm just sitting here, Baldy, because I'm going to wait for the comments to come. Light-skinned ball, Ben Simmons.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
I had to give him the buzzer.
Hell no. I put Rodney Buford in there before
that particular name.
I can put Lou Williams in there before I do that.
Right. And I was thinking the same thing. I was getting ready to say, I understand this list is what it is. And I can kind of see where their reasoning is with that. And Nate says, hell to the no. I agree with you. But just hear me out real quick, Nate. And this is just my explanation of the reasoning. In the short span of time that he's been in the league, his accolades so far. That's the best I can give you as an explanation or my thought process of an explanation. Nate said, put him in there instead of Ben Simmons. You're absolutely right. So that is the one question mark that I actually had with this list as well. But again, like I said, just to give you an attempt at explaining the possible thought process of adding him, his short time in the league, 5 years now, 3 of those he's been an all-star. Just about all of them he's been tops in defensive player of the year. He's very well up there in Omar. AI was the starter at the 2 guard. Yes, Damani. See, I knew you had some Sixers love, and you Caldwell Jones and Earl Carrington. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said just at the Baldy, I'm just going to wait for the comments to come in because I can sit here and say Baldy just ran off 2 or 3 names immediately that could go in there. But again, like I said,
was playing with Rodney Buford.
I know. He did that.
The sheriff.
Richard said he would put Leon Wood in there too. Before Ben, absolutely. But again, like I said, folks, it was a question mark for me as well. But just to try to give you an interpretation or my interpretation of what I think their thought process was just a short span of his accolades that he has right now. Because where he is right now, it is, that pretty much kicks him off the list in my opinion. That was some fun.
Man.
You know, we could go through, again, like we said, we can go through a bunch of names that we could put in there, some serious, some jokingly as well. But again, like I said, the thought process, that's why I said with some of the names that were here, like the Red Kerr, the Dolph Shades, the Billy, the Hal Greers, I feel like this was one of the better lists, if you will, as far as an all-time team list. Richard
Ryan Anderson.
Luke Jackson.
Luke Jackson.
I mean, heck, we can play around with as much as you want. We can go Clint Richardson.
You
know, like Baldy said, we could put the Chocolate Thunder on there. If you want to mix it up. Yeah. We can go ABA throwbacks too. We can put the Big Mac in there.
Yeah, you can put
a lot of names that we could throw around in this. Omar says, this list are always going to stir the pot.
You might well put Charles Shackelford in that jump.
Absolutely. Yeah, I told you to get Shaq. Not Charles Shackelford. But, you know, it's always fun to world be free. Absolutely, Omar. It's always fun. Yeah. Because like we said, we know basketball and we understand. But again, these lists are always skewed. And you will always find with the team list, you'll always find a team that you could take off and replace with somebody else. When you get to these types of lists, you can always say, here's somebody I can put in place of this person and that person. So, but like Nate said, these types of lists I feel are built to strike just what we're doing now, strike some dialogue. And it's always some decent dialogue when you get into lists and things like this. So, let's get to our picks for week 12 before we close out today. Real quick, I am going to give you the schedules for NHL and NBA. Omar, Barkley was the starting power forward. So we go into the NBA tonight. You got Nets at the Cavs, Rockets, Celtics, Thunder, Hawks, Pacers, Bulls, T-Wolves, Pelicans, Suns, Spurs, Grizzlies, Jazz, Sixers, Kings, and Hornets, Wizards. On the NHL front, you got the Blue Jackets are at the Sabres, the Ducks are at the Predators, Golden Knights are at the Blues, Senators and Avalanche, Penguins and Jets, Hurricanes and Sharks. In NCAA basketball tonight, you got Butler facing off against number 15 Houston, Citadel facing off against number 7 Duke. Joe should be back soon. I'm hoping he can come back tonight. There was speculation, Rich, of him joining the team over the weekend, but we see he did not play against Portland. So I'm hoping that we get some news a little bit later in the day today. And if I get it, you know what I'll do. It will definitely get posted. Number 19, Ohio State is at Seton Hall. Number 12, Oregon and Chaminade. Cincinnati up against number 10, Illinois. Number 16, Arkansas versus Kansas State. Charleston Southern versus Georgia Tech. Central Michigan versus the number 1 Gonzaga. Albany versus number 13 Kentucky. Number 25 USC plays host to Dixie. Yeah, that officiating crew. You saw how Doc got into them, Rich. I forgot about that. I should have brought that up a little earlier in the show. Georgia and Virginia, St. Mary's and Notre Dame. Baltimore goes into Cali to play number 2 UCLA. And number 24 Florida flies up to California to take on the California Bears. Yes, that is something that Omar, he sees that ESPN is dedicating a channel to HBCUs, something that Deion Sanders had a big hand in getting them to that. And, you know, he feels like those kids although there have been plenty of HBCU athletes that made the NFL and other sports, they definitely need more exposure than what they are typically getting. Thursday, Turkey Day. Hopefully you all won't eat too much turkey and you'll be able to watch all of these games. Game 1, 12:30, Chicago at Detroit.
Taking Chi-Town.
Chicago it is for me as well.
The best.
Las Vegas at Dallas.
I think Dallas gonna win it.
I think Dallas will win that one too. Again, I think the Raiders are back into that mode. Like I said year before last, you don't know what team is going to show up on any given Sunday. Buffalo at New Orleans.
I think the Bills going to be able
I'm
to
going
pick
with a
up
bounce back game. Yeah, I think so as well for the Bulls. Omar, yeah, Dallas. Then we move into Sunday. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati.
I think Cincinnati's gonna win that
That's
game.
a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Cincy at home as well. Tampa Bay at Indy. Indy's playing well. Sorry, Jules, but I'm going with Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
Carolina at Miami. Cam Newton's back there, so I'm gonna go with Carolina there.
Yeah, they playing a lot better.
Tennessee at New England.
New England been playing pretty good.
They have been playing
So
pretty good.
I'm gonna go with the home team.
I'm gonna stretch this one. I'm gonna push the envelope here. I'm gonna go with Tennessee on the road. Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants.
I think y'all are just playing better than them, so I'm gonna go with the Birds.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going with it. Philly there. Atlanta at Jacksonville. This is one of those games. If I was actually betting, I would stay away from.
Yeah, because they both playing terrible.
Yeah. So for sakes of a pick,
I'm gonna go with Atlanta.
I'm gonna go with Atlanta as well. New York Jets and Houston. I'm going with the Titans.
Yeah.
Chargers at Denver. Another tough one here.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Yeah, I kind of like the Chargers there. The Rams and the Packers. Tough injury there with the toe. I'm going with the Rams.
I'm going with the Rams.
Minnesota at San Fran.
I think my boys can win this. This is a winnable game.
I think so too. I think I'll go with San Fran there. Cleveland at Baltimore. I'm going with the Ravens at home. Washington at home against Seattle next Monday.
I'm taking Washington.
I'm taking Seattle on the road. No Chase Young, so I'm going to take Seattle on the road. There you have it, folks. Thanks for tuning in, as always, each and every Monday right here on Heat 100 Radio, the SportsRap Podcast. Remember, DM me, hit me up if you can. If you know anyone or know anyone that knows anyone or a family that is in need of a turkey for the holiday season. Thanks, Rich. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Omar wants to know who Olney is playing on Thursday.
They're playing King.
They're playing King
at the super site. But we'll be in the parking lot barbecuing chicken, baby.
No turkey, barbecue chicken.
We'll be out there barbecuing chicken, brother.
Yes, sir. So you know where to find me at SportsRap_D on Instagram and Twitter. Facebook, SportsRap Podcast. The webpage, SportsRapRadio.com. Again, I tell you every time, if it's your first time typing it in, it's going to pop up with the spell check and everything comes up, Sports Rap Radio Show. Take out the show, so it's just SportsRapRadio.com. YouTube, SportsRap TV. You can also catch the audio on iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts, and GW District. Baldy?
You can get at me, Ball75 on Instagram, and also Aaron Baltimore on Facebook.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Enjoy your Monday. Be great on purpose. We'll see you all week on social media and right back here next Monday in studio. Thank you all.